Welcome back to the Social Therapy Podcast. It's your girl, Rhonda Lynn, and we are back with another episode. On the Social Therapy Podcast, we talk about a lot of different things. We talk about love, relationships, family, our vision, self-love, self-help, all that kind of stuff, right? So we're starting a new series. We're going to start on our Facebook group, where if you want to send in your stories to make it a little more personal, you can send your stories in to rhondashi@gmail.com, and I will read your stories on the live on Facebook, okay? So, before we get into today's episode, which is another episode of Am I the Asshole?, we are going to make ourselves a little something to drink real quick because your girl, it's been a week, okay? It really has. But you know what? Even though it's been a week, I am still thankful and blessed, okay? So, this week's episode is about a young mom who had a baby at 19 with a grown man. And, you know, he was doing pretty good for himself, but she wasn't. She was still a kid, still trying to figure out her life or whatever. And so she ends up letting him have custody of the baby. And he, meets another woman. They get married. The other woman is a stay-at-home mom, and she is like mother of the year. So they start having issues when the daughter grows up, and the mom grows up, and she's in a little bit of a better place now. So she's gotten herself to the point where she can afford to live in the same neighborhood as her baby daddy and her daughter. And she's able to participate in some activities, and the daughter can live with her for 1 week out the month now. That's their new arrangement. And it's starting to have some problems. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get to it. Okay? Let's get started. Now, remember, this is on the Am I the Asshole, Reddit or whatever. So y'all let me know if you think she the asshole or not, because I really don't. I don't think she is, right? She might be feeling a little like outdone. Kind of normal if you ask me, but I don't know. I got a couple of questions myself. We're going to get into that in a second. Okay. 15 years ago, I, 19 at the time, dated this guy, Mark, 25 at the time. I got pregnant after a few months with him. I wasn't ready for a kid, so I gave Mark full custody of our daughter, Natalie, now 14. And I visit a couple times a year. Mark is from a good family and already had a great job when we first met. He quickly climbed up the ladder and is able to give Natalie a very privileged life. When Natalie was 2, he met Amy, and they got married when Natalie was 4. Natalie and Amy have always been very close, and Amy is very involved in her life. She's room mom, head of the PTA. She was a soccer coach, the softball coach, head of the theater guild, and found a way to be part of everything Natalie was involved in. She also drives Natalie to school early in the mornings so they could stop for breakfast first, and she packs Natalie's lunch every day. And not something like peanut butter and jelly and a bag of chips. She makes Natalie steak or quiche or lettuce wraps with a side of salad with homemade dressing, fresh fruit, and homemade dessert. Oh, that's good. Natalie doesn't understand that the only reason Amy is able to do all of this is because she doesn't work and she doesn't have to do much around the house. They have a cleaning service come multiple times a week. They doing good, okay? Look, Amy and Natalie over there living good. Okay, let me finish. I recently got an apartment close to Mark and Amy's house, and I have Natalie 1 week out of the month now. That's cool. It was pretty hard for both of us at first. Natalie had a hard time understanding that we're not stopping for breakfast before school, and the best thing she's going to get from me for lunch is a turkey sandwich, cookie from the grocery store I work at, a bag of chips, and an apple. She was also not used to the fact that she has to clean up after herself. Well, that's a valuable life lesson that she needs. I'm just saying. Natalie was here last week and we were already not getting along because she had an event at school that week and she told Amy about it and not me. Because she refused to clean her room and because I found out that she's been throwing away the lunches I make for her, asking Amy to bring her lunch since she started staying with me. She had a sore throat on Wednesday and I let her stay home from school, then started to get ready to leave for work. When I was about to leave, she made a comment that Amy always stays home with her when she doesn't feel well. I said it's a sore throat and she'll be fine, but she got an attitude and said that I should try to be a good mom like Amy. Ooh, that's a blow. We ended up arguing and I told her that I can't compete with Amy and that if she can't handle that, she needs to go back to her dad's house. So she called Amy to come pick her up and I haven't heard from her since. I was supposed to take her out for dinner this Saturday, but now she doesn't want to go. So I want to know if I was the asshole. Now, on the read for this on Reddit, they voted that she was the asshole. I don't think she's the asshole. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay? First of all, this is two different lifestyles going on here. And Natalie cannot expect to get the same life that her dad gives her. Her mom literally lives in an apartment. Okay? And she works at the grocery store. So no, there's no cleaning service coming in. You're going to clean up behind yourself. And honestly, I feel like regardless of how much money you got, your kids need to know how to clean up. You know what I'm saying? And it's true, you know. She is not about to be making steak and quiche. I mean, I'm 39 years old and I still to this day ain't never had no quiche. I'm going to change that. But let's go over this real quick, okay? Because I want to really break down a couple parts of this and explain to you why I don't think she's an asshole. And you can let me know if you think she's an asshole or not. So 15 years ago when she was 19, she was dating a 25-year-old man who got her pregnant within a couple of months. I remember being 19. I remember 25-year-old men, right? I mean, not like they don't exist anymore, but, you know, I feel like at 25, you know how to not get somebody pregnant, you know? And I feel like at 19, you should know how to not get pregnant too. So, I mean, I don't know what was going on at that time, but it sounds to me like they only dated for a couple of months and then they broke up and she was pregnant, which lets me know that it was nothing really serious in the first place. And to be honest, it was probably just a hookup, right? I don't know if she took it serious at 19, thinking she was in love and everything. But at 25, I think he knew that he wasn't taking her serious, you know. And granted that she working at the grocery store now, 15 years later, and he already had a good job back then. I just don't really think they were on the same playing field, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, so she wasn't ready for a kid at 19, so she gave her baby daddy full custody of their daughter, whose name is Natalie. She's 14, and she only visited a couple of times a year. I don't understand that, because I get that you weren't ready for a kid. I don't know the circumstances fully around that, right? Because I mean, I don't expect everybody to be like me, but I mean, I had my son at 19, 20, and I wasn't ready to be a single mom either, but I was one, and I rocked that shit. But everybody ain't made the same. I digress, right? So anyways, but I don't understand, like, okay, so you done gave your baby to your baby daddy because he got a good job and he can take care of it, and maybe his parents is more involved. But you only visited a couple of times a year. Like, how do you go that long without seeing your child, especially like your baby, right? I don't know, and it don't really say how old she was when she gave her up, but I just feel like I would have to see my baby more than a couple times a year. So maybe this is why they voted that she was the asshole. I don't know, but let's keep going. So, okay, so Mark is from a good family, and he already had a good job when they first met. So I'm guessing that maybe his family was helping out with the baby, right? And maybe that's why they decided to go ahead and do it, because I don't really see too many 25, 26-year-old uh, young men just, giving up their whole personal life to raise a child without any help, okay? But apparently he had a good job and he was able to go up the corporate ladder, and he probably is like a VP or something right now. He doing real good. And Natalie over there living the privileged life. She going to a good school, probably a private school. You know what I'm saying? Good neighborhood, low crime, all that, just doing good. So let's see. When she was 2 years old, her dad met a new woman and he married her. So this is something that kind of stood out to me a little bit, right? So what stands out to me is how active Amy is in Natalie's life. Now, I'm not saying that she shouldn't be. I mean, I commend her. I feel like if you are a blended family, you shouldn't be holding back on being there and supporting each other's children. But it doesn't say anything about whether or not Amy has her own kids. So I'm wondering, like, maybe Amy can't have her own kids. Maybe Natalie is the baby that Amy could never have. And she's so, into being a mother because she never thought she was going to be one, that she is just like a part of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a room mom. She's the head of the PTA. She's a soccer coach. She's a softball coach. She's the head of the theater guild. She's the head of everything that Natalie does. Her mama is the boss, and she's making sure that her baby is being treated right, because ain't nobody gonna cross her, because she's the head of this and the head of that. And I say it like that because she's raised Natalie with very low interference from her natural mother since she was 2 years old, right? So I understand it. But I also wonder, like, if she goes so hard because this is how happy she is to be a mom, because she didn't think she could have any. And she probably can't, right? So now she's a mom now. She's happy about it. But I also don't understand why Natalie's mom, the one who wrote in, didn't participate in anything. Like, why did you just step all the way back, and not show up to nothing? Did you ever go to any of her theater performances? Did you go to any of her soccer games? Like, were you involved at all? How well does Natalie know you outside of you showing up for her birthday, giving her a gift, showing up for Christmas, giving her a gift? You know what I'm saying? Like, just those couple of times a year. I'm pretty sure they were just holidays, stuff like that. How well does your daughter know you? Because that's a big part in all of this, right? And it's really hard for a kid to accept a parent that they don't know. And you just kind of throwing her into this situation. It's a whole lifestyle change. And I feel like when you do that, you have to take baby steps. I don't think that she was ready to be with you for a week every month. Maybe she could have just stayed the night sometime. And then she could have spent the weekend. And then y'all could have moved up to a week. So she could see, okay, this is what it's like at my house. This is what it's like at my mom's house. And she can wrap her head around the idea of, okay, you know what? I got to go to my mom's house this weekend. I already know what I'm about to get myself into. Let her ease into it so she's not so combative. These is teenagers. They got hormones that they don't understand yet. They're still trying to identify who they are, what they are, and while going through all of that, you have this big change where it's like, hey, you're going to start going on the other side of town to visit your mama for 1 week out the month, starting today. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds like to me. So then, I get it. So, the stepmom, she making all these elaborate, extravagant lunches and shit because they got a budget that she can afford to do that. And you, as the mother, you don't have that same budget. You work at the grocery store. You ain't got time. You probably working mad overtime just to afford the apartment to live in the neighborhood that keeps her in the same school district. so that that 1 week out of the month that she's staying with you, you can get her to school on time without having to drive all the way across town. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm pretty sure you working your butt off. You tired. You ain't got time to be making quiche and steak and homemade salad dressing, you know? And your daughter is sitting here like, what is this? I don't eat like this. Now, what I do think is wrong is the fact that she calling her stepmom to bring her lunch after she done threw yours away, and her stepmom is fully aware of what's going on, and she didn't even call you to let you know. Because y'all could have worked something out. You know, because I mean, a turkey sandwich and a bag of chips and a cup of fruit compared to what she's been getting, y'all could have worked something out. And I say that y'all should have worked something out on that lunch tip, because kids are cruel, you know? And it's like, the lunchtime is like the most organic, communicative time at school, where all the kids come together, they eating together. She bougie, you know, she bougie. And her friends is bougie. They probably the mean girls. You can't sit with us. And now here she come to the table with all the bougie friends and all the kids that she done made fun of for being scholarship kids at this private school who do come to school with turkey sandwiches and bags of chips. And now you going to put her in that same category? No. No. She's not bringing that to the table. She'd rather not eat before she bring the very things that she teased other kids about to the table. And I'm going to tell you like this. Under no circumstances should you put your child in a position to be mocked or made fun of just because you can't afford to do certain things. You don't sit up here and let this woman raise your child as her mother since she was 2 years old for the last 12 years. You know, get together, be friends with her, be cool with her, you know, and work out the lunch situation with her. You know, maybe she can, you know, meal prep her lunches for the week and send them to y'all house and have them sitting in the refrigerator so she can just go ahead and put them in her lunch bag and go into school. I'm just saying, like, there's a way that y'all could have worked that out. I need y'all to not be petty when it comes to this baby, because she already going through a lot. Let's see here. So she didn't invite you to the school event. I don't think you ever came to any of the events at all. And now here you are wanting to be involved. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, you have to ease into it. I know that you finally got yourself in a position where, okay, you know what? I can be her mom. I could be a part of her life. I feel comfortable being around her, you know. But you can't just throw it in like that, you know. It's like sometimes you might have to find out for yourself. You might have to ask a couple of times. You know, you might have to ease into it. Sit in the back, you know. Because depending on what the school is like, honey, you might not match the rest of the moms. You might have to sit in the back. And don't feel bad about it. Because you're not on their level. Yeah, you know. But I understand why your feelings was hurt that she told the stepmom and didn't tell you about it. That was bogus, okay? And finding out that she been throwing your lunch away, that's bogus. But like I said, that could have all been fixed or whatever. Okay, so let's move on. She had a sore throat on Wednesday, and I let her stay home from school. Then I started getting ready for work. When I was about to leave, she made a comment that Amy always stays home with her when she doesn't feel well. So I get it. Amy can stay home with you because she always at home. She don't never leave the house unless you're doing yoga or something like that, but that's not your lifestyle. That's why I said y'all should have eased this baby into this situation where she could see that, you know what, my stepmom don't work. My mom, my natural mom, she worked. And she can't afford to miss. But I kind of feel like maybe on the first time, in good faith, maybe you could have took a day off of work, traded a day with somebody just to show her that she's a priority, because she hasn't been a priority for her whole life. At least she don't feel like she's been a priority her whole life. You know, I don't think she have, but you know, I don't know the circumstances around that, what the agreement was with you and her father. You know, I do know that when you are, and I don't know about everywhere. I live in Illinois, but I do know, like, when you start talking about custody between parents who are unmarried, there's a lot of things that the judge cannot make you do because it's an unmarried situation. There's just so much gray area. Whereas if y'all was married back then and got divorced, and then in the divorce decree or whatever, it would have been like mandated. But because y'all was never married, you know, he could just kind of do whatever he wanted. And apparently you could too, right? So let's see. Okay, so anyways, y'all end up getting into it because you don't want to stay home. You got to go to work. She catch your attitude. You arguing with her. First of all, don't argue with your kids. Don't ever do that, okay? Y'all not on the same level. You're going to always win, and both of y'all feelings going to be hurt, you know? And the reason why I say you're going to always win because you understand the situation deeper than the kid ever could. And at the end of the day, one of y'all going to end up feeling stupid, okay? So anyways, you tell her that you can't compete with Amy and that if she can't handle that, she need to go home to her dad's house. So basically, okay, no, you can't compete with Amy. You can't do what Amy do. I don't think that you're in competition with Amy because I really don't feel like you ever been in competition with Amy because you never showed up to do anything. You was never part of her life or even tried to be. And even now, when you have her for 1 week out the month, you're not trying to do what Amy do. You doing you how you do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't try to be anybody you're not. Just be yourself, right? But understand where your daughter coming from, that she just being herself. And at some point, she going to have to realize that you are not Amy, right? But at the same time, you got to realize what she's used to and try to incorporate to make her feel comfortable as you show her, you know what? I might not be able to do what Amy do, but I love you just as much. What I do feel like was an asshole move was for you to tell her, if you don't like it, you can go into your daddy house. When you already know she don't want to be there anyway. Of course, she's going to go home to her daddy house. Now she got this child that feel like you ain't never really want me nowhere. You gave me up. You barely showed up. I barely know you. Then you gonna kick me out and send me back to my dad's house where you sent me in the first place? No. She don't want to come back. She don't want to have dinner with you. You owe that baby an apology. I'm gonna need you to put your big girl panties on, okay? I'm gonna need you to put on your mama face, okay? Step into motherhood and take responsibility for your actions and your part in this situation. Y'all had a disagreement. You know, instead of sitting down and having and communicating about it or telling her, like, you know what? I know you ain't feeling this right now, but let's talk about this when I get off work, you know? Or, you know, if you don't want to be here alone, you know, you can go home while I'm at work, but then when I get off, I'm going to come pick you up, right? But you should have never told her if you don't like it, go home to your dad's house because she's not coming back unless somebody make her come back. That was an asshole move. Now, the reason why I think that you're not the asshole overall is because you are trying, right? You are trying. I just think you're a little misguided, and I think you need some guidance. And I think you need to step back and look at the full picture of what's going on here and assess it from that point, and then make a plan and then move forward with it. And I think in making the plan and moving forward, you and both her dad and her stepmom, y'all need to sit down together and discuss it without being petty or none of the bull crap, okay? Because obviously you don't want her daddy back. He don't want you back. The stepmom is living her best life over there with your baby, right? And she probably feeling some kind of way because it's like, this has been my daughter the whole time. This heifer ain't been nowhere around. Now she want to come through and play mama. Girl, please. But all y'all need to grow up. And all of y'all need to come together and make life livable, right? For this baby this is a very important time of her life. You know, this is going to mold who she becomes. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Let me know what y'all think about it, okay? And, you know, get in here, okay? And let me know what y'all think. Is she the asshole or not? And I would like to actually start doing some of your stories on here. And reading them. So make sure you get into the Facebook group, the Social Therapy Podcast on Facebook. Send in your stories to my DM or to rhondashi@gmail.com, and we can start getting a little more personalized. This would really be the Social Therapy Podcast. What I want to do is go live, read the stories, and then socially, you know, we give our opinions. So if you have any questions, make sure you hit us up. Follow like, and subscribe to this podcast. In the meantime,